Hello and welcome back to another NPC recreation video with me, Meoni, for Final Fantasy XIV. This time around, I wanted to try my luck at recreating one of the cheekiest of chappies in the entirety of Eorzea. I am, of course, talking about Jacke. Now, Jacke is the leader of a rogues guild here in Limsa. If you're unfamiliar with this, perhaps you've never played rogue or ninja, might be a good opportunity for you to, start this quest line. It is hilarious, and the characters are pretty good. And obviously, the class plus job are ultimately very fun. This was introduced, quite early into Heavensward. But, yeah, so this was, quite an iconic character throughout this, being the leader and all that. I'm not going to really spoil any of the storyline, but if you want to have a good laugh at the same time as leveling up one of the coolest melee in the game, then you can do a lot worse than trying out the rogue and ninja storyline. So this is Jacke then. This is what he looks like. He's rearing for battle. Quite he'd like to probably appear more noble than he is. He's kind of piratey. He's got that pirate sort of bit to him. He's like the pirate ninja, basically, if there was such a thing. It's usually pirates versus ninjas, but yeah, so his outfit is fairly basic, which is one of the reasons I thought this would be a good idea, because it's something that we can easily access in the game, but looks quite good. You don't see that many people walking around like this, but, if the off chance that you wanted to look like Jacke, let's step into the character creation, where we will create him and recreate him as closely as possible. Then we'll put my character next to his via Fantasia, and we'll see if I've managed to match this in any way, shape or form. So let's continue with the recreation of Jacke. Right then, so here we are. Let's go into character creation. I decided I would rather use one of my alts because I still have Fantasias delivered to them. So this is my Catboy alt here, Zelara. I'm going to re-edit that character's appearance rather than buying more Fantasias. I thought that would be a good idea. Save me a bit of in real life gil today. So Jacke then is a higher, obviously a male higher. There we go. And I believe he's a Midlander. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. I don't think he's a Highlander. Definitely got the build for a Midlander. He's quite scrawny, isn't he? And then, yeah, I don't know what his birth date would be or his guardian, so we'll skip that. Ah, yes, I nearly pressed enter and completely lost everything. There we go. So he's a sort of mid-height character, so I think 50 is about the range that we're looking at. And in terms of his muscle tone, I believe he's quite, yeah, I think it's probably quite default, this character. As for his skin color, he's a little bit pale, isn't he? So we're definitely in this range. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some pictures, basically, and we'll speed up. We'll do a fast forward through this and see if I can get him as close as possible to the actual image. So here we go. Alright, so this is what we ended up going for in the end, which I think is as close to as you can get. If you're wondering why this particular hairstyle, it's when you wear a hat in the game, this hair gets flattened, and the hair over the brow there is one of the only ones in the game that does that. Same with the sideburns here that are right sort of length. So in theory, this should look pretty good when we have the bandana on his head. You go in different light settings here. I think you'll agree, it's pretty close to his sort of chiseled look. And he is a fresh-faced character. He doesn't have any facial hair. And the only thing you might get slipped up on is the lips themselves. But I've made sure that the lip color is as close to being pale as possible. We're, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. As close to skin color as possible, basically, because he's got very pale lips. I could go for something darker, but I'm not sure it would work necessarily. I could be completely wrong. That's sort of up to you. But let's go into the game then, get the gear, and see if I've done an actually decent job or not. Right then, here we are in the game, and as you can see there are glaring differences, but this is as close as I could physically get it. I tried for quite a few hours actually today trying to get this to look closer and closer, but honestly the dye system is the biggest problem in this game. As you can probably tell, the chest piece here has very different colours. The design itself is pretty much the same, but for the most part, we're being let down by the dye options. When we will eventually get the ability to have two-tone palette dyes, will be the best day ever, but for the foreseeable future, this is unfortunately how it is. It's even more glaring at the back. As you can see, the differences are quite large. Yeah, I probably should have gone for a darker green as well, but there we go. So let's start with the helm, which is another glaring issue. I tried to get this as close as possible to Jack. Jack is on the left, if you didn't already notice that. Basically, this helm here is the Arachne bandana of scouting, which is something that you can craft with your leather worker. This is something that unfortunately comes with this particular mask. Funnily enough, there is an Arachne striking bandana that is basically so much more like the one that Jack wears than the actual scouting one. So you'd actually have to secretly be a monk or samurai to get it without this face mask. I went for this one because obviously, you know, it's as close as we can physically get with the same beading, you know, all these charms and beads, and the same design on the top with the same colour. Unfortunately, we have the face mask. There's nothing I can do about that. Alternatively, the only thing you can do to have a non-face mask version would be to get one of the other dyeable bandanas, but you're not going to get the charms and you're not going to get the design. Here's a little bit of footage I've got of the velveteen bandana dyed ochre green, which matches quite well the colour wise at least, but it kind of looks like budget Jack. So yeah, honestly the Arachne one is probably as close as we're going to get. For the chest piece then, to get it as close as possible and to be dyeable, this is actually the Holy Rainbow shirt of scouting. So this is actually equipable by ninjas and obviously your rogues. This is dyed ochre green as well. I could have gone for a darker green, but honestly, the way that the helmet works, you know, the hat being ochre in terms of coloration, yeah, I mean, you could try other greens. Probably moss green would work a bit better. But overall, I was a bit disappointed because obviously the black parts of leather, we can't change the colour of those, or the, you know, the off-white grey here, we can't turn into a proper white. And it's even more glaring at the back. But I tried my hardest, and this is as close to the model as you can physically get. There are some alternatives, including a whole bunch of other Holy Rainbow and jackets, but unfortunately they're either not dyeable and are bright red, or have different details or bits missing. So we've got this, whatever this is supposed to be on the belt here, this sort of like compass thing. I think that's supposed to be a compass. But yeah, for the most part, that's pretty much how it is. The other thing you'll notice here then is we went for the same weapons. We managed to get these. This weapon here then is known as the Dark Light Baselard. You can get this from the last boss of Amdapor Keep or Wanderer's Palace on normal mode difficulty. You can unsync this very easily. It's a chance to drop at the end of there. They're the Dark Light weapons, the same ones then that Jack is using on his character model. Pretty much identical. They're pretty easy to get. They're level 50 equip. The legs then are pretty much identical. I'm quite happy with this. Same for the boots as well. As you can see, if we pan down in G pose here, you'll see that the legs I went for were the Arachne Gaskins of Scouting and the Kiramu Sandals of Scouting. These are also crafted with leather worker. One of the other things is the Arachne Field Dressing of Scouting for the gloves. Those are identical as well. So really everything looks pretty much as it should, apart from the chest piece and this helm. So it's going to really come down to what you prefer and what you personally think. It still looks a little bit like a budget version of Jack, but the face that I went for with all of those slider options in the earlier section of the video seemed to work quite well. I think you'll agree. And we've done as well as we possibly could, I think. But that's pretty much my version of Jack. So I don't know. Let me know if you've managed to think of something better. I went through tons of items. It took me a few hours to work out what we could actually go for and dye. What you would do differently. Probably a different dye for the chest piece. It looks a little bit off now. I look at it even further. But, you know, I tried my hardest. It is what it is. One day, I do hope that Square Enix do address the lack of palette dies. That is something that would make more NPC recreations more viable. And the fact that this helm that he's using is essentially a striking helm annoys me slightly. It's like he is the guild leader of the rogues, and you can't even wear the actual helm. Secretly, Jacke then is a samurai all along. Who'd have thought it? But anyway, let me know what you think about this below. Much love, and I'll see you all next time.